I never imagined that a single careless remark could unravel everything I had built with my husband. Yet here I am, staring at the cold, widening distance between us, realizing far too late just how destructive my words can be. My name is Hannah. I'm 31, and I once believed our marriage was unshakable, that no matter what I said or did, David, my husband of 6 years, would never walk away. David has always been the calm to my chaos, the steady presence who could take my teasing in stride, tolerate my sarcasm, and handle my little digs with patient smiles. I believed I could joke about anything, push boundaries, and he would forgive me every time. That sense of security made me careless, blinded me to the truth that even small words can hurt. It was a Thursday evening, and we were at a friend's home for a low-key gathering. Nothing fancy, just a handful of close couples, wine flowing, laughter filling the room, and the kind of background chatter that makes nights feel alive. David isn't a fan of social events, but he came along because he knew I loved them. I had spent the entire week anticipating the night, imagining the playful conversations and light-hearted fun. At first, everything seemed normal. I laughed at jokes, clinked glasses, and chatted with friends I hadn't seen in months. But as the evening went on, someone casually started talking about relationships, how couples handle conflict, their strengths and weaknesses, and those subtle dynamics that reveal who truly holds the upper hand. Without thinking about the weight of my words, I made a joke about David in front of everyone. I laughed and said, if anyone ever questioned his manhood, they wouldn't have to worry. He'd probably need me to show him how it's done. The room exploded with laughter. I didn't intend to hurt him, it was just a joke. Or at least that's what I told myself. I assumed David would laugh along, shrug it off, just like he had countless times before. But when I glanced at him, the smile on his face was forced, hollow, fleeting. Something had shifted, subtly but unmistakably. The rest of the evening passed in a strange tension. David spoke very little, offering polite nods when addressed, but there was a distance that hadn't existed before. He wasn't angry or sulking. What I felt was something far more powerful. A quiet withdrawal. Oblivious, I continued the conversation, nudging a friend and exaggerating the joke just slightly, thinking it would lighten the mood. But instead, every word, every laugh that followed my comment seemed to deepen the offense. Each moment was a silent confirmation that I had crossed a line I hadn't even noticed. When the party ended, David didn't linger by my side as usual. He quietly grabbed his coat, gave me a brief nod, and left. I called after him, joking lightly, brushing it off as though he were merely in a bad mood. But his silence, his refusal to look back, spoke louder than any words ever could. On the car ride home, I tried to fill the silence with small talk, mentioning trivial things about the evening. He responded with one-word answers, each like another brick in a wall forming between us. Finally, after what felt like hours of tension, I turned to him, exasperated. David, are you seriously still upset about that joke? I didn't mean anything by it. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, jaw set, eyes focused ahead. His voice was calm but sharp, slicing through the quiet. It's not just the joke, Hannah. It's the way you've spoken to me for years, making me feel small, like less of a man. Every time you've tried to be clever at my expense, I blinked, caught off guard, defensive, because I thought that was part of our dynamic. Teasing, joking, keeping things playful. I thought it was harmless. Come on, David. It was just a joke, I said, trying to laugh it off, desperately minimizing what had suddenly become serious. But the tension in his posture, the stillness of his hands made it clear. This wasn't about one comment. It was about every careless dig, every public tease, every subtle way I had undermined him over the years, all disguised as humor. We arrived home, and I expected our usual routine. He would cool down, maybe roll his eyes, maybe even tease me back later. But instead, he silently opened the door, walked past me without a word, and that night, he didn't come to bed. The distance, once invisible, had become a tangible presence in our home. The next morning, the silence lingered. I tried small, tentative conversations to bring back the comfort we had always shared, but every attempt was met with polite nods or quiet acknowledgments. No smiles, no laughter. Finally, I confronted him at the kitchen table. David, are you really still upset? It was just a joke. He looked at me with calm, unwavering eyes and said words I will never forget. It's not the joke, Hannah. It's the years of jokes, the years of subtle remarks that made me feel less than inadequate, small. I'm done pretending it doesn't bother me. I can't keep living feeling diminished by the person I love most. The word struck me harder than any argument could. I opened my mouth to apologize, to explain, to plead. But he just shook his head, stood and walked away. Not angrily, not shouting, not blaming. Just with a quiet, final resolve that left me frozen. The sound of the door closing echoed like the end of a chapter one had ignored for too long. In the days that followed, David avoided me entirely. Calls and texts went unanswered. The warmth of our home felt hollow. I tried to rationalize, telling myself he just needed space, that it was temporary, that he would come back. But deep down, I knew something fundamental had shifted. The trust and respect I had taken for granted were broken. Sitting alone, scrolling through old photos, I finally grasped the depth of my mistake. My careless humor, my playful teasing, had slowly eroded the foundation of our marriage. The man I had assumed would always forgive me had reached his limit. I was left not just with regret, but with the stark reality that even words spoken lightly carry weight. I realized then what I had ignored for so long. Respect is not optional, and love without respect quietly destroys even the strongest bonds. The man who had been my anchor, my calm, my partner had shown me his strength. Not through anger but through silence. And in that silence I saw the full impact of my actions. The hurt, the disappointment, and the irreversible shift in our relationship.